pressure on the shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. Like higher or lower. Very handy. I think so too. Yeah.
Test, test, test.
Test, test, test.
There's always one,
Yeah,
so
Chuck
that's,
was saying there can be handwritten changes, so,
right. See,
all right.
so,
I'll use that then. I won't have to do it.
right, so the only reason why you'd want to have that is just to know where
Where
you
I
need to
am.
step in, yes.
Yeah,
I know,
so I
right.
have a phone, I'll just use my phone for that. Okay, do
Do we write in there that I'm extinguishing the chalice?
That's something you discussed as a group?
Yeah, we discussed it. We went through the whole thing. I just
Okay.
have to remember to get it.
Yeah, that's
writing it,
that's the
I'm
only tricky
extinguishing.
thing, is that whatever you discuss, you have to keep in head. So,
And you can request a copy of the order. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Sterling, to both those in person and online. My name is Joan Duchess, and I am honored to serve this congregation as a worship associate. We're going to open with a gathering hymn, Building a New Way. The words will be on the screen. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able to join us in singing.
Good morning. I'm Bill Roman. I'll be leading you in the hymns today. This hymn is in your teal hymnal if you want to grab one, number 1017. We're going to sing all 4 verses, and it's got a short intro, so be ready to sing. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working. Can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Reverend Jessica James. Reverend Jessica has a Master's of Divination and is a Unitarian Universalist community minister. She earned her Master's of Divination from Andover Newton Theological School and completed a ministerial internship with UUAC at Sherborne, Massachusetts. She serves as a hospice and re-entry chaplain in Dayton, Ohio, and New Haven, Connecticut. Reverend James' community ministry began here in the DMV, includes post-incarceration, family reentry support, conflict transformation counseling, restorative justice teaching, spiritual direction, and officiating weddings and memorials. She lives with her family in Silver Springs, Maryland.
Welcome, Reverend Jessica. Good morning. Welcome to this place of fellowship and peace, renewal and deepening, engagement and reflection. I'm Sharon Koviak, and it is my honor to serve this congregation as a member of the Board of Trustees. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your identity, age, ability, or history, know that you are welcome to bring your full self here. I know we have some visitors today. We're so glad you're here. You're invited to join us for in-person fellowship after the service, and to learn more about UUCS or Unitarian Universalism, you're welcome to reach out to me after the service. Finally, I invite you to share a greeting with those around you, both those you know and those you have yet to meet. 2 minutes to find it. Joan knows where it is, I'm sure. Oh, here it is. It's on the table.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Now, let us share worship with reverence and authenticity.
This is a chalice lighting by Catherine Calhoun. As the chalice is lit, let us come together into the sacred space we have created. Let the cares of the day fall away and know that here is a place for quiet reflection, for a pause in our lives, for breathing into our true selves. Let what is said and felt here add richness to the dimensions of our lives and spiritual practices. We are strong together in community. We share the experience of being human. Let the warmth of the chalice lit during our time together connect us and carry us into the world.
Our chalice hymn today is number 1008 in our teal hymnal. We're going to sing all 3 verses, and the words will appear on the screen. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. Then our heart is in a holy place, in our holy place. Thank you.
I'm going to invite us into the ritual of sharing our sorrows and joys. This ritual invites us to hear one another and to heal one another. I invite you to come forward if you'd like, briefly share great losses or milestones. If you're in the sanctuary, I invite you to share your name and your joy or sorrow from the mic in front. And if you're with us online, I invite you to share your joy or sorrow in the chat box, and we will give each one a voice. As you share, Joan will place a stone from the dry bowl into the bowl of water. We will place one more stone for all of those joys or sorrows we hold in our hearts, especially those still too tender to be shared aloud.
Hello, I'm Yvonne with an extra N and E. I can't wait for Denise to come to service. I have to tell you now, but when you see Denise Dittmar next week, will you please tell her to look at that article on the backboard? You know, she went to those meetings regarding the data centers, and in this little newspaper they wrote, "Data center boom meets local resistance as QTS abandons the Virginia project." So yay for our Denise Dittmar and all those other people who went out and sat against it.
Hi, my name is Philip Jackson. Hi, my name is Philip Jackson. I'm tall. I last time I was here, I was incredibly sad. I didn't have the bandwidth to talk about it at the time, but I was let go from my job, Starbucks, and it really weighed heavy on me. And everyone here was super supportive, and I just wanted to say thank you to those people. And things are going a lot better. I decided I'm going to go for and pursue the career that I've always wanted to do. I'm going to try to get in voiceover and work for Disney. And I'm like super excited about that. And I also wanted to say, before I go, I wanted to say a positive affirmation to everyone here. Positive vibes, energy, light, and love. I hope that everyone treats every last one of you guys with the kindness, respect, and dignity that you all deserve, because you all make this world we live in a better, brighter, more wonderful place. Have a great day.
Hey, I'm Jim. We had to put our family dog down yesterday. We rescued her 9 years ago. She was allegedly 18 years old, according to the vet. So, yeah, she had a long life. And one joy came out of it, though. My son was in Connecticut at the time. I dropped him off at Union Station last Sunday, and that was why I wasn't here. But when I told him, he talked to his mom, who he was with, and she's like, "We'll fly you back so you can see her one last time." And so, yeah, he flew back in on Thursday, and we had our celebration of life on Friday, and then he was there with us yesterday and flies out tomorrow. So it's solemn. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Judy, and just want to welcome our family from Austin, Texas, who's visiting us for the week.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yvonne, and think I'll be on the 22nd of this month. I will have my operation. Hopefully, I will feel better 2 months afterwards. So just think of me, okay?
please join me in a brief meditation. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or lower your eyes or leave them open. Feel the floor beneath your feet and your chair supporting you and holding you up, and the community around you holding you, like the bowl of fresh water that we laid our stones into. Spirit of life and love, thank you for gathering everyone here together safely, here in the room and with us online. We make space in this community to support our losses, our new beginnings, the spaces between our losses and the new beginnings, new jobs, family visiting, for surgeries and medical procedures coming up. We pray that everyone feels held and loved and supported by this beloved community. And may we make room for all the things that we still hold in our heart, still too tender. And I invite us to join together in a moment of shared silence. May it be so, and amen. Over to here for the time for all ages. I don't know if we have any young people. We're all feeling young today, right? We got up out of bed and made it in this heat to join together. So if anybody would like to come and sit closer, you can. If not, you can welcome to stay in your seat. I'm going to come over and read a story. So the name of the story is Wally and Freya. Wally and Freya, by Lindsay Pointer and illustrated by Stella Mungadi. Right. Wally was a bully. That's what everybody said. They were sure that hurtful thoughts were all that filled his head. Wally stole lunch every day from Bella Joe the bear, and he always hogged the crayons and then refused to even share. Needless to say, when it was time for the kids to play, Wally's classmates would all holler, "Wally, go away!" During recess, kids brought pens and imagination soared. They wrote of pirates, goblins, ghouls, dragons, knights, and lords. Freya, the red fox, wrote the most captivating tales of terrifying monsters with big teeth sharp as nails. One day, Freya's book of tales simply disappeared. It's lost and gone forever, or so the children feared. Raphael the rabbit spoke up fast to save the day. "Wally took the book," he said. "Quick, he went that way." Chasing after Wally, they were shocked by what they found. Pages of her book were scattered all across the ground. Freya's words were hidden under Wally's scary doodles of terrifying monsters eating eyes and guts like noodles. They all let out a gasp. "What have you done?" the group explained. Wally ran into the forest, looking quite ashamed. But Freya thought twice as she watched young Wally go and followed down the grassy path to where the oak trees grow. Wally was there, hanging his head and kicking the dirt. Freya saw in Wally's eyes that both of them felt hurt. "Your drawings are amazing," Freya genuinely said. This made Wally smile, and he slowly turned his head. "Why'd you take my book?" she asked, with kindness in her eyes. "I don't know," said Wally, letting out a big, long sigh. "I guess I just always wanted to be part of the fun. But you wouldn't understand. You're friends with everyone." "Nobody likes me," Wally said, while looking very sad. "Sometimes I get so sad, and then that sadness makes me mad." He told his new friend Freya about troubles in his home, and told her how he felt so scared and completely alone. Freya sat and listened, and she let Wally talk on. And by the end of Wally's story, her anger was gone. "I have a fun idea," she said, with kindness in her smile, and together they gathered her book's pages in a pile. The next day, the kids gathered by the biggest old oak tree. What they found when they arrived was quite the sight to see. Wally's illustrations were all pinned up on the bark, scary drawings of mean monster and terrible sharks. Freya told a story, and it made them come alive. The monsters were embarking on a dangerous deep-sea dive. When her epic story ended, everybody cheered. They saw Wally was an artist and not to be feared. From that day on, Wally was a member of the crew. The others wrote the stories, and as for Wally, he drew. You see, Freya did something quite special on that fateful day. Instead of striking back, she made sure Wally was okay. There is always much more to people than we can see. Beautiful things happen when we practice empathy. Well, you're all still in your seats, so I don't think we'll sing you back to them. But thank you for letting me sit up here and read you a story. Thank you, Reverend Jessica. Lovely lesson in that story. Okay, it's time for our offering. We have received freely of gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. May we now gladly give a portion of that bounty. 2/3 of the cash offering will support our congregation. The remaining 1/3 will go to support our justice cause. This month, it is Laws. Laws has provided free domestic violence and sexual assault services in Loudoun County since its founding in 1984. They offer emergency shelter, therapy, advocacy, support groups, legal services, and help to victims of violence. They also run Loudoun County's Children Advocacy Center, helping those who have faced abuse or violence. You can also visit or donate to their thrift store, The Resourceful Woman in Leesburg. If you're in the sanctuary, you may place your donations in the basket as they are passed. Online attendees can use the donate button in the virtual order of service. Donations may also be made via mail or the donate tab on the UUCS homepage, and there's also a QR code for donations in the sanctuary posted at the back. thank you for your generosity to our congregation and to our community.
This is an excerpt from The Service Berry, Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World by Robin Wall Kimmerer. The words ecology and economy come from the same root, the Greek oikos, meaning home or household. For example, the systems of relationship, the goods and services that keep us alive. The system of market economies that were given as a default is hardly the only model out there. Anthropologists have observed and shared multiple cultural frameworks colored by very different worldwide views on how we provide for ourselves. As the berries plunked into my bucket, I was thinking about what I do with them all. I'd drop some off for friends and neighbors, and I'd certainly fill the freezer for Juneberry muffins in February. This problem of deciding what to do with abundance reminds me of a report shared by Lewis Hyde in his essential book, The Gift, that linguist Daniel Everett wrote as he was learning from a hunter-gatherer community in the Brazilian rainforests. He observes that a hunter has brought home a sizable kill, far too much to be eaten by his family. The researcher asked how he would store the excess. Smoking and drying technologies were known. Storing was possible. The hunter was puzzled by the question. Store the meat? Why would he do that? Instead, he sent out an invitation to a feast, and soon the neighboring families were gathered around his fire, and every last morsel was consumed. This seemed like maladaptive behavior to the anthropologist, who asked again, given the uncertainty of meat in the forest, why didn't the hunter store the meat for himself, which is the economic system of his home culture would predict? Store my meat? I store my meat in the belly of my brother, replied the hunter.
Thank you again for welcoming me here with you this morning. I set a timer when I preach because I have to remember that we're not Baptist, we're UUs, and we have a schedule to keep. Again, my name is Reverend Jessica James. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm so glad to be with you here this morning, so thank you. And I grew up in an analog life, so I have to turn on the iPad and get that going. All right. So thank you for listening to the stories and the readings here today. My work in my community ministry is with people returning home after incarceration and with the families that have accompanied them and carried that absence alongside them. I do pastoral care with the families and the returning citizens. I teach restorative and transformative justice practices, and primarily that is a circle process. And I wonder if any of you are familiar with circles. Oh, I think I see a hand in the back. And I also, you don't have to just like sit still and listen to me. If we have a comment or you need to move around to be comfortable, please make yourselves comfortable. So a circle process, which is a kind of a core practice of restorative justice, is really intentional because there's no hierarchy. Everybody sits down at the same level and take turns speaking to and being listened to very deeply. And that practice of listening deeply and being listened to deeply is something that we really don't have that much here in our modern society here in the US. But whatever that work amounts to at its center, what it is co-creating with and for the people I serve, spaces of belonging and healing that this world does not otherwise offer in many places. Let's just take a deep breath together. So a few minutes ago, we sang about building a new way. That's one of my favorite hymns. And that hymn is more than a pleasant melody. I feel like it really represents Unitarian Universalism in our efforts to bring into the world the theology that we have, the framework and posture in the world that we have. And it's not solitary work. And I have a question. When I say the word conflict, what happens in your body? I think maybe your jaw tightens. Maybe your shoulders rise up a little bit towards your ears. It's not an accident because a lot of us are raised to think that conflict is a failure, like something has gone wrong. It's a fire to be extinguished or a wrong to be corrected. So, I mean, is conflict good or is it bad? Yeah, right? Yes to both, yeah. The question isn't how are we going to get rid of conflict, but as the somatic educator Susan Raffo has put it, what do we do next? What is the next right thing? Conflict just happens. Sometimes, there's a story that I was trying to think of an example of some conflict that doesn't have a value judgment behind it. When I lived in New Haven, Connecticut, downtown, there was a big building next to us that was being reconstructed. And the construction went on for a long time, much longer than they said they would. And in front of the building, there were big poles and planks of wood holding all the construction, keeping anything from falling down on the street. And there were big buckets of concrete holding up those poles, so the poles were stuck in the buckets of concrete. And that reduced the sidewalk to about half of its original size. And this is a busy, busy street, a really long block, and once you start in on that space, you can't go out into the street. And from the beginning, you couldn't really see if anybody else was coming in on the other side. And sometimes, get to the middle, and there's barely room to pass. What are we going to do? What are we going to do in a situation that's safe for both of us? And I was thinking about that as I was thinking of trying to think of conflict as a neutral thing, because both of us, me and the other person on that long side of the block coming in, we're just going about our business without any intention of causing problems or discomfort for another person. And conflict just arises. It's part of the human condition. It's part of being in relationship. And relationship is really important to our tradition in Unitarian Universalism. Restorative practices can be part of our next steps when we find ourselves in conflict, in community. And conflict, in the work that I do, it seems more obvious. People have been away from their families, they've caused harm in their communities, and they're trying to rebuild their lives and rebuild relationships, learning how to tell the truth to each other about what the costs of that have been. And it's really slow work, and I think that is something that can be difficult to be patient with. How many of you are familiar with the justice system? Do we have any lawyers in the room? No? Judges? Correction officers? Been incarcerated? Yeah. You've been very closely touched by it. Yeah. Anybody else lived behind bars? I mean, we all know somebody who has, and sometimes it might just be being arrested for a civil disobedience, and sometimes it's being having a punishment for something that was decided that we've decided as a society is wrong, and the length of time being locked up is disruptive. You could lose housing, lose your job, the things that add security and make it possible for us to function in the world. So I just want to clarify, restorative justice is about restoring whether it's a relationship, a person, a community, and trying to restore that to wholeness after harm. Some practitioners that I learn alongside have a challenge to that. What are we restoring to? Was there even a good relationship? Were we happy with what was before? Sometimes restoration might sound like returning to an unjust status quo. And that's where we come to the term transformative justice. Transformative justice is a response to that says, let's not try to repair what we can see was broken, but let's think about how do we get there in the first place? What were the contexts and the systematic issues, the absences, the longings, and the unmet needs that led to that point where harm was committed? And this distinction comes from authors like Adrienne Marie Brown and many other teachers whose work shapes the ministry of restorative justice. I chose the story this morning of Wally and Freya because I believe that it holds more theology than its little picture form suggests. Now, Wally, you can recall, is the boy every child in his class has already decided to fear. He's a problem. He steals lunches. He destroys people's artwork. And the children's response is understandable. Wally, go away. Why do I want to be around you if you're going to hurt me, if you're going to cause damage to my precious property, my art that I've made? And Freya has a different response. She follows Wally, and she follows him into the woods and watches him standing there, and he feeling ashamed and kicking at the dirt. And rather than demanding a reason right away, she offers an observation. She sees him. She says, "Your pictures are amazing." And that opens up a space for him to share, to be vulnerable, and say what's happening in his life, about his fear and his sadness and isolation that was happening before he ever met Freya or the children. Freya doesn't pretend that nothing happened. She doesn't erase the fact or ignore or say, all right, that's fine, let's just move on, that Wally, he caused harm to something that she loved. But she offers connection. And connection is different than forgiveness or an ending, but it's a space of meeting, two people meeting together as they are in a vulnerable space and figuring out how to move forward together. And that's the core and the heart of restorative justice, that people, we all are more than the worst thing we've ever done. And repair is possible. So this is what happens in a circle. And circle is sometimes the end of a long process of talking to different parties and allowing people to be heard. And also what restorative justice needs to be victim-focused, or focused on acknowledging and seeing the harm that was caused and thinking about how that harm might be healed. I often look before I go do a class or something on restorative justice, I do a little Google search and see what are people saying about restorative justice. And a lot of what I find sometimes is it's a lie. It's a joke. It's victim-blaming behavior. And it lets people get away with whatever they want. And I think my response to that is, yes, it can be that way, unfortunately. And in the best ways, it can be a reminder of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, of seeing one another, of seeing that we are not the worst thing that we have done, and that there is a way forward. Different communities have this practice sometimes where before they try to act collectively on something that the community needs, they take a moment to address the harm that exists between them. To say, I'm sorry that I've hurt you. I know that I affect you. My actions impact you. And then see what we can do to move forward. And thinking about restorative and transformative justice and thinking of the systems that lead to harm and the unmet needs is where this book and reading The Serviceberry comes from. The most powerful line of that, I store my meat in the belly of my brother. I live in a promise that what I need is going to come to me. And when I read that, I thought, just imagine what that might be like, to trust that we're going to be able to have our needs met. That's something that is really hard to do in a world of what feels like scarcity and also forces in our society that are working to take away the basic needs of people and take away rights from people. And restorative justice and transformative justice call us to act in our daily lives practices that can become part of a muscle for us. That when we have the opportunity for something bigger, for a larger issue that we might have a direct impact on, we have that practicing muscle, that idea that there is a way forward. So the Greek words ecology and economy, that they mean household. That hunter was not being reckless with his resources. He understood that his household, his community, extended beyond his four walls. And this is the logic that Wally could not find his way to, and the logic that Freya offered him without naming it. We don't keep the people around us at a safe distance, storing up our grievances like we might store meat in a lean season. But what our faith, Unitarian Universalist, calls us to do is to place ourselves into the belly of one another. Our chalice lighting at the beginning said we are strong together in community. We share the experience of being human. And we see that shared experience is in each other's eyes and in our words and our voices when we share our joys and milestones together. That is how repair happens, by showing up as we are and sharing what's really going on with us. So when I try to narrow restorative justice and thinking about how we can use it and understand it as a way of resistance and of gathering together for what we believe in the world, I want you to carry away 3 different things. The first is that conflict is not good or bad, right? It just simply exists. It's part of our human experience. The second, number 2, is that disconnection shapes our experience of conflict. So when we think that we have to handle our problems alone, handle our failures alone, hide our mistakes from each other, that just delays and intensifies conflict. But number 3 is that connection can transform conflict in ways that we don't necessarily predict or know on our own. Sometimes people ask, well, what about this crime? What about this situation? Is there a way to restore something when so much harm is done? And there are no individual answers. That's why we need each other. That's why we come together. We're wired to regulate together, to co-regulate, to sit together in spaces, and to think about these big problems together, and to trust that something will emerge, that wisdom, that a new way forward will emerge. The Unitarian Universalist Association, all of us together, is working on the congregational study and action issue of abolition, transformation, and faith formation. Are any of you familiar with that? Or heard about it at GA, maybe? No. So this is a 3-year study that thinking about what would it mean to build systems of accountability here in our, in wherever places we are. This is particular to the United States. What would it mean to build systems of accountability that are grounded in repair rather than punishment? So this isn't an abstract policy question. It's the substance of my ministry and the families that I sit with, that a person can pay their dues, pay their debt, go to prison, go to jail, and come out and be still seen as that mistake that they made, and have a lot of systems stacked against them as they try to be seen as a human being with inherent worth and dignity. So, it can be as simple as stealing crowns, the crayons, or how we design systems of accountability through the justice system that we all touch in some way. But what I want to leave you with is that we're asked to live together and to face the challenges of this time together. We're not asking to build a new way alone. What we're asked to do is to come together in a communal way and try to share our lives with one another. And I want to invite you to try something to break this individualism ideology that we often have. We have to face things alone. If you think about something that you need to do this week, something on your list. Do you need to go shopping? Do you need to fix something? Do you need to run an errand? Do you need to have a hard conversation? I want to invite you to invite somebody else in to that and to trust that that will grow your relationship together, but also we break down the patterns of carrying things on our own. And that's a muscle, too, that we need to have for transformative and restorative justice. Conflict is just a part of our lives. Disconnection deepens the conflict in our lives and leads to harms that we sometimes need help responding to. But connection transforms it. So our covenant tells us there's a unity that binds us together and makes us one. I've looked at your chalice ending that you say that this makes us one in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. I believe that. I've seen fragments of that in circles where I sit with people who the world has already given up on. And this morning in our story of a fox and a bully and a pile of scattered pages. And there's a river that we'll be singing into about flowing in our souls. What's happening in our hearts and minds is happening together. And every single person here is necessary for that way forward that we're going to find, that we're going to build, not by ourselves, but with one another, and with a wider faith that spans beyond this congregation to the whole association and the world, leaning towards connection and repair. Let's go and build it. Go and belong to one another. Belonging to one another is enough. It is actually everything. May it be so, and amen.
As we prepare to conclude our service, you are invited to reach out your hands and your hearts into this space of community to join in a virtual circle inclusive of all. First, let us extinguish our chalice while we carry forth its light in our hearts. Please join us in our covenant. This congregation is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all our diversities, there is a unity that binds us together and makes us one in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity.
I have a few announcements. As you enjoy your summer, we invite you to collect a small amount of water to bring to our annual in-gathering water ceremony in September. Gather water from a place or moment that holds special meaning for you. Together, our shared water symbolizes the journeys and experiences that reunite our community each fall. Now, save the date of August 14th. All are invited to join for our congregational startup potluck on Friday, August 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. for an evening of food, conversation, and shared visioning as we begin a new chapter together. It'll be led by Reverend Tyler Coles, transitional lead for the Central East region. And a sign-up Genius link is available in Illuminate if you would like to contribute an item, beverage, or food dish. And lastly, join us for the next Date with Death Club. The session is entitled Good Life and Good Death. This will be held on Wednesday, August 26th from 1:30 to 4 here at UUCS. So whether you're returning or attending for the first time, everyone is welcome for this thoughtful and engaging conversation. To learn more about the program, visit the Date with Death website, and the link is available in Illuminate, or contact Reverend Kara, and we hope you'll join us.
Beloveds, go out into the world and build bridges to justice with your life. Use your grounded presence and your lived experiences to share your wisdom that only you can bring. Share your resources, your time, and lean into your community. For it is here that you can be reminded you are loved, you are worthy of love, you are necessary, and you are enough. May it be so, and amen.
Before we conclude with our closing hymn of 1007 in the Teal hymnal, a reminder that there is no virtual coffee hour today. Words should be on the screen. River